Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. Today, I want to talk about avian flu. This is the next pandemic, apparently, at least that the governments are pushing as a possible pandemic. And it is a flu, a disease in birds and poultry, wild and domestic. And the suggestion is that this could hop from poultry, domestic and wild birds, to humans. And the death rate, I've seen some estimates of 50% death rate. Now, it doesn't transmit very easily, but of course we know with the last pandemic, as it mutates, it will get more transmissible, but in theory less virulent, less deadly, as it gets more easily spread. But that won't stop the government from putting rules on you, of course, about your chickens. Now, where I am, they have started requesting that we register, even if we have one chicken, with the government. Why? Well, if there is a case of avian flu, they then have, I guess, the right to cull your flock in the name of preventing the spread of avian flu. And they've done this in massive numbers across the U.S., and it should be a bigger story than it is. I haven't really heard it being that big of a story, but it's happening. This is from Canada.ca, the government of Canada website about avian flu, bird flu. Avian flu is a contagious viral infection that can affect all species of bird, but can less commonly infect mammals. There are at least 15 types. They're all caused by various strains of type A influenza, bird-spread avian flu, virus one to another through secretions and droppings. Some species of wild birds, such as ducks, can carry the virus. While all bird species are thought to be susceptible to infection, domestic poultry flocks are more likely to become severely ill and die when infected, and the outbreaks can rapidly turn into epidemics. So another excuse for the government to lay down a law to cull all your local, your personal food production options in the name of public health and safety. And this is exactly what's going to come. This could very well be really the next pandemic that is affecting our food supply. And the government, won't stop trying to control you. Now, again, it's in the name of public health and safety. But now they're coming after your own personal food production as people, as preppers, people who want to be close to their food. They go out and get chickens. Well, now the government says, no, you know what? We may come in and kill all your chickens because of the threat of avian flu. They're clamping down hard, and they will get around every kind of loophole that you think you have to produce your own food, so that they have total control. Is the government, is their purpose in mind to get total control of you? No, but all these conspire together, due to the unseen guiding hand of Satan, I believe, to consolidate global power, to remove all options for you to survive on your own, so that you will be desperate in time of famine, which we're coming quickly upon. So I think at the end of the day, Satan's orchestrating all this. The individual governments don't exactly know what they're doing, or that it's leading to something, but it is leading to global control, to where you won't have a choice. You won't have chickens because the government's going to come in and kill all your birds, and remove all your options for growing your own vegetables. Look at all the genetically modified seeds now that when they grow the first time, they don't produce seeds in the plant that they grow. So you can't continue them on year after year. This is the whole idea of the heritage seeds that continue to produce seeds year after year in what they grow. Anyways, it goes on. Health officials around the world are keeping a close watch on a serious outbreak of avian flu that spread throughout a number of Asian countries in 2004. The outbreak was caused by a strain of avian influenza called H5N1. You'll remember that. You'll recall that. And it affected millions of chickens and other birds. There have been a small number of human cases of avian flu, and some people infected with H5N1 died. Again, I think it was like 50% death rate from this. Although human cases are rare, people who have become infected become seriously ill and may die. By the way, you might want to think about ivermectin and these sorts of things. They are very good at respiratory diseases. Even though that was suppressed that may be a very viable option for this flu. As you know, it's respiratory, anything respiratory, anything in your lungs, potentially ivermectin and other therapies could work very well against these, which we never knew before, apparently. It's all brand new. It says, concerns about possible influenza pandemic. The World Health Organization has alerted countries that they need to intensify surveillance, and this is partly why governments in Canada are now asking chicken owners to register themselves and how many birds they have, so they can go kill them if they need to. So intensify surveillance and implement control measures. Never done before on this scale. I've never been asked to register my chickens before, and this is where we've come to, where the government now has this control, and they're giving themselves this control. Again, it's always in the name of public health and safety. A standard control measure is to kill flocks of poultry that are infected or may have been exposed. Even if your birds are not sick, if they might have been exposed, the government can now go in and cull your entire flock. As a precautionary measure, the WHO has selected H5N1 prototype strains for influenza vaccine development. So they're looking for a vaccine. Vaccine manufacturers and researchers are doing groundwork that is necessary. So again, on this, something that could become a worldwide pandemic, you notice that the vaccine manufacturers are now on the ball. They are getting vaccines ready for this, and likely going to have a human vaccine as well, since the threat is that it could go over to humans. All right, this kind of sounds like the narrative of the pandemic, and all these things for good reasons. This is a very real threat. This is a very real disease, but the government's going to do it exactly what it did in the pandemic, and move on this influenza, this avian influenza, as the next pandemic, and it's going to hurt the supply chains. You're going to run out of eggs. You're going to run out of chicken, the meat on your store shelves. And, all those small producers who were selling eggs on the roadside, you're not going to be able to do that because the government's going to come in and cull your flock. And so there's going to be massive food shortages, massive starvation, famine. And what does the Bible describe in the last days of the four horsemen of the apocalypse? It describes massive famine and starvation, to the point where people are so desperate that they will accept a world leader. And what is Ukraine asking for? They're asking for and expecting a world leader to stand up and bring peace. What will the world be asking for? They'll be so desperate, they'll readily accept a world leader, consolidate all sovereign countries into one global government, and accept a mark of the beast so that they can have food and water and relative, quote-unquote, peace for a period. And this is what the world is driving towards. This is a very real indicator of the last days, folks. Be prepared, but now you can't even necessarily be prepared with backyard chickens because the government may be coming for them. So, this is one of these things that the government's going to implement, and you're going to think, boy, I got it. I'm set. I've got my chickens. I've got my extra animals. I've got this and that. Note that the government may be coming for exactly what you think is going to sustain you through this period. That's why at the end of the day, we need faith in Jesus Christ. He's going to provide for us. He's going to sustain us ultimately, because the government's going to come for everything you have, and there's going to be great persecution in the last days. Thanks for watching. I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next video.